Welcome back. In this video, we'll cover Unit 1. Now, in Unit 1, we're going to be talking about Hinduism, which is particularly centered in India. Go ahead and read through my introduction, which just gives an overview, kind of sets the tone for this particular unit. In the next unit, we'll learn about Buddhism. Now, scroll down, you find some contact information from me here again. Attendance verification, that's important in this first unit, but only for those who are in a term class. It does not apply to those in an LPL class. You need to be active in the first week for us to verify that you are even present, that you are legitimately in this class. So be sure to not skip out or be lazy on that first week. This Unit 1 study guide is very important. Go ahead and click on that. That'll bring you to this document which lists the assignments for this particular unit, specifically the reading assignments. Go ahead and do those reading assignments first. You can read through this particular study guide, right? You read through my introduction, and then you read through this study guide, and then you read through the required readings, the reading assignments, and then go over to the discussion boards and the assignments black on Blackboard. So for this unit, you're going to want to read Chapter 1, Hinduism. Again, you can find the e-textbook by clicking on e-textbook over here on the left menu, and you can see my other video on what that looks like. Scroll down in this study guide to see an overview of the lesson as well as an introduction to the basics of Hinduism and some additional information beyond what is in the textbook to just prompt your thinking and get you thinking about religions in general and how this religion relates to your own beliefs as well as the beliefs of other religions that we will cover in this course. Now jump back over to the Unit 1 section of Blackboard. For those of you who are in a life-paced learning class, you'll have a journal instead of a discussion board. Go ahead and click on the grading rubric and skim over that so that you'll have an expectation of what I'm looking for, and you can compare your grade to this. In order to submit, just go ahead and click on Submit Unit 1 Journal. The best thing to do is just click Write a Submission, and just go ahead and write it right into that text box. Now this Unit 1 journal says reflect on your worldviews. Explain how your ideas are similar and or different to those of Hindu practice. Now this is a homework assignment, not just a diary, so make sure that it's got some facts, some details, and it shows that you've actually done some reading and some homework. Make sure that it's 200 words. This should be a reflection to see how the lessons that you're learning apply to your life, how you might be able to use them. You may also see this announcement that says Attention Unit Access Information. Go ahead and click on that and you'll see a breakdown of when each of the units will be available. There's an adaptive release where you can't have access to all of the units right at the beginning. They will gradually release as you go along. Scroll down to discussion board. Before you actually read the discussion board, you'll want to click on grading rubric. It produces this little pop-up here, which is a basic discussion board grading rubric. This applies to all of the discussion boards. Again, this only applies if you're in a term class, not a life-paced learning class. Only term classes have discussion boards, and they'll have a discussion board for every unit. So be sure to read this rubric carefully. This is the expectation, and then if you get your grade back and you're not as satisfied with your grade as you would like to be, then read this besides my feedback and comments in order to see how you can improve. The discussion board for this unit is accessible by clicking this big button right here. Then click on the discussion thread itself. Week 1 has a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 is simply to introduce yourself to your classmates with your name, location, current employment, and future goals. That can be a few sentences, maybe like 3 sentences or so. It doesn't have to be too extensive, but whatever you like. And then part 2 gets into Hinduism. In the Hindu worldview, which 2 ideas do you find to be the most important to the religion? Explain your reasoning. Perhaps you could relate this to your own beliefs or how you think that it impacts the culture. But what I want you to do is to make sure that you put enough thought and detail into this that it'll be sufficient as a homework submission. Remember, this is not just a social media discussion board. This is a homework assignment. So make sure that you give it homework assignment effort. If you want to respond, go ahead and click reply to me or to someone else and type your response in here. Now you can see my post here at the bottom. If you do make a mistake, then email me and I will delete your post. Back over here on the Unit 1 page, you can find the instructions for the Unit 1 reflection paper. Again, click on the grading rubric to bring up a rubric. This is what you should read through even before you read the instructions so that you can get an idea of what the expectations are. You need to make sure that you understand all of the requirements and the level of professionalism and skill that is expected. Because if you don't read through this, then you won't understand the feedback that I give later on or why you're getting the grade that you are. And it's, of course, better to figure it out beforehand rather than learning the hard way. So go ahead and look at these different categories: depth of reflection, writing mechanics, components, and so on and so forth. And this last column here, level 5, this is the excellence that you want to be looking for. Go ahead and close that rubric, read through the instructions, which we'll do right now. Welcome to the religious news station. Okay, this is sort of a fictional presentation. Pretend that you are a reporter. As the newest member of the organization, you will be exploring many different religions from varying viewpoints throughout this course. This ongoing travel will have you reporting on various religions around the world and will conclude with the final project for the news station. For your first assignment, you will be packing your bags and traveling to India. It is there that you will find the major concentration of those practicing Hinduism. As you begin traveling for religious news, your boss wants you to embrace the Hindu culture as much as possible. In other words, pretend that you're fitting in. Put on their dress, adopt their mannerisms, get into the culture, attend their festivals. Per his request, he has asked that you visit a temple, attend one festival of your choosing, and observe either an investiture, marriage, or funeral ceremony. For your write-up, that is, the assignment, this reflection paper, be sure to include the following components for your report. Now, here's a list of your requirements for the basic requirements for your research paper. Make sure you cover each of these topics thoroughly and in detail, maybe even going beyond the minimum limit of what is required for this assignment. First off, summarize the impact that Samskaras have on Hindu society. Now, Samskaras are a kind of rites of passage related to certain festivals and ceremonies in a person's life, as well as relating to the concept of karma in Hinduism. So make sure to summarize what Samskaras are and how they relate to other aspects of Hindu religion and society, and what's the wide-ranging impact on the culture and on the people, how they view themselves, how they view their own society, and how they view the rest of the world. Next, compare and contrast a selected Hindu ceremony. For example, investiture, marriage, funeral ceremony, one of these other ceremonies, or a festival. Here's the page numbers in your textbook where you can find some information on those. When you're looking at these ceremonies, make sure you distinguish between sort of superficial appearances about, differences in what people are wearing at a wedding in America versus a wedding in India. And then distinguish also what are the important differences that point to impactful beliefs. How can that help you as you understand different religions and as you take that knowledge into the workplace? Last, compare and contrast the social statuses within Hinduism to that of your own, the caste system in Hinduism. And now remember, when you look into India, there's certain areas of India that maintain a strict caste system, and other areas of India that do not maintain as strict of a caste system. particularly in urban centers, even though they continue to practice Hinduism. So you might want to make that distinction in addition to the comparison with social classes and social status and socioeconomic status in our own country. Last, here's a reminder here about what the requirements are for this particular assignment. Your reflection should be at least 1 page in length. You must include at least 2 outside sources, one of which can be your textbook, right? So figure out how to cite your textbook. Now, every time you have a citation, you need to have at least one in-text citation, which is kind of like a sign or an arrow pointing to the reference at the end of your paper. Again, look at the citation guide down here on the bottom for information on how to cite and have references. Look at the CSU online research guide to help you find sources and figure out, again, how to cite and when to cite, where to cite, how to avoid plagiarism, and then information on how to submit the paper down there at the bottom. So you get 2 outside sources. That means the textbook and then one other thing. Again, don't use Wikipedia. Don't just use a blog. Use a good academic, scholarly kind of source. Remember to use APA formatting throughout the assignment. That includes citations as well as margins and spacing and font, all of those kinds of things. If you have any questions, of course, ask me. And you can also get information and help from the Success Center and from the Writing Center. When you're ready to submit your assignment, go ahead and click on Submit Unit 1 Reflection Paper. Here you will scroll down and click in this big dotted line area. You want to attach a file. Browse My Computer, click on your file, go ahead and upload it. Don't forget to click Submit. Jumping back over here to Unit 1, you'll also have a reminder about the live session and any pre-recorded videos I might also post to this area. Thank you for joining me for this tutorial of Unit 1 and the expectations for these assignments. Again, anytime you want to ask me questions about these assignments, go ahead and shoot me an email.